The weekend is here again and we will be giving you guys our best predictions of game week 26 of the English Premier League. You are always advised to choose the picks you agree with and remember to bet responsibly and do not bet with money you cannot afford to lose. So without further ado, let us get right into it. Leicester City and Brentford get the Premier League weekend underway when they meet at the King Power Stadium tonight. The Foxes remain rooted in deep relegation trouble, while recent positive form has moved Brentford a clear distance away from the bottom three. Despite suffering a 9th defeat in 10 league games last weekend, there were some positives for Leicester boss Ruud van Nistelrooy to take from their 2-0 defeat at home to Arsenal. Thomas Frank's Brentford side became notorious with having the league's best home form and worst away form earlier this season, but that has completely flipped in recent weeks. Leicester are unbeaten in 4 at home to Brentford, and have scored in 17 of the last 18 head-to-heads, suggesting their long wait for a home goal could end here. However, after losing 4-1 to the Bees in the reverse fixture, it is clear that past history is unlikely to come into the equation for this one, and it could be another tough evening for the hosts against one of the strongest away teams of late in the Premier League. So I'm going to go for a 1-3 Brentford win, and my betting tip is total over 2.5 goals. Manchester United make their final trip to Goodison Park to face Everton in the Premier League at lunchtime this Saturday. Ruben Amorim's tenure continues to go from bad to worse at Old Trafford, while their former manager David Moyes is having a sensational start in his second spell with the Toffees. The Red Devils find themselves in immense pressure and closer to the relegation zone. The ongoing season has by far been the most disappointing and dreadful campaign that Manchester United have ever faced. Everton, on the other hand, head into this game on the back of a motivating win against Crystal Palace. The hosts have been excellent since the turn of the year and are unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League games. However, they will look to settle scores with United having failed to win any of their last 5 games against them. Relegation was a very real concern for Everton just a matter of weeks ago, but an astonishing change in fortunes under Moyes means they now found themselves above Man United in the Premier League table. Everton's hoodoo against United has continued to haunt them in recent years despite the Red Devils being at their lowest point in many decades. The 4-0 defeat in the reverse was under different management and should be taken with a pinch of salt, but the visitors should be more determined than ever to avoid yet another defeat that could move them even further down the table. So I'm gonna go for a 0-1 Man United win, and my betting tip is Man United to score. The Premier League title door has opened ever so slightly for Arsenal, who can move to within 5 points of leaders Liverpool by sinking London rivals West Ham United at the Emirates on Saturday afternoon. Mikel Arteta's men conquered Leicester City 2-0 last weekend thanks to a new attacking hero, while their visitors' plight continued in a painful 1-0 home loss to capital counterparts Brentford. Another glut of goals against the Hammers is surely off the table for a striker-starved Arsenal, but chance creation should not be a problem for the Gunners with the electrifying Ethan Nwaneri in his current form. As Arteta's men are squaring up a confidence-depleted West Ham side without a single clean sheet in 2025, we have complete faith in the hosts to close the gap on Liverpool and ramp up the pressure on the Reds before Sunday's blockbuster with Man City. So I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Arsenal win, and my betting tip is first half over 3.5 corner kicks. Bournemouth will be looking to boost their Champions League qualification hopes when they welcome relegation-threatened Wolverhampton Wanderers to the Vitality Stadium on Saturday afternoon. Victory for the Cherries would see them complete their first league double over the Old Gold since the 2014-15 championship season, after winning the reverse fixture 4-2 at Molineux in November. Bournemouth have been one of the surprise packages this season, and Andoni Iraola's side have put together a strong run of form over the last few months, losing just one of their last 15 matches across all competitions. Wolves' spirited performances across their last 2 matches, as well as their solid Premier League away record against Bournemouth, will give them hope of claiming a positive result at the Vitality Stadium, but the Cherries will still be regarded as favourites for this one. Indeed, Iraola's side have already hit 4 goals past a leaky Wolves defense this season, and they should have few problems outscoring their opponents en route to collecting 3 valuable points to boost their top 4 hopes. So I'm gonna go for a 3-1 Bournemouth win, and my betting tip is total over 2.5 goals. Still harboring realistic aspirations of securing European football for next season, Fulham welcome top 10 hopefuls Crystal Palace to Craven Cottage for a Premier League clash on Saturday afternoon. The Eagles will be out for revenge against the Cottagers after they suffered a 2-0 defeat in the reverse fixture at Selhurst Park in November last year. Fulham have celebrated 3 victories in 3 matches in the month of February, all by a 2-1 scoreline, including impressive Premier League wins over Newcastle United and Nottingham Forest, beating the latter on home soil last weekend. Across Crystal Palace's last 6 matches in all competitions, they have won 4 times on the road by a 2-0 scoreline and have lost twice on home soil by a 2-1 scoreline, most recently losing in front of their own fans against Everton last weekend. The last 2 meetings between these 2 clubs at Craven Cottage have both ended all square, and another closely fought contest could be on the cards this weekend. Fulham will boast the psychological edge, having already beaten Crystal Palace without reply this season, but the Eagles have looked strong away from home in recent weeks and will back themselves to claim at least a point from this fixtures. So I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw, and my betting tip is total under 55.5 booking points. On the hunt for a 3rd Premier League win on the spin, Tottenham Hotspur travel to Portman Road to face Ipswich Town, where revenge will be on the mind for Ange Postecoglou and co. The Lily-Whites were memorably beaten by their newly promoted foes when they welcomed them to North London earlier in the season, a shock scalp which marked the Tractor Boys' first top-flight win of the campaign. As Tottenham gear up for a bottom-half battle on Saturday, last weekend's headline encounter with Manchester United represented another clash between 2 sides in the lower echelons of the top-flight standings, which few could have surely foreseen at the start of the term. As praiseworthy as Ipswich's point was at Villa Park, the Tractor Boys needed an inspired Palmer to get them out of jail time and time again, and their Premier League home woes are extremely well documented. McKenna's men should not be blown to smithereens by any stretch, but a Tottenham side boosted both confidence-wise and numbers-wise have our vote to complete their East Anglian revenge mission. So I'm gonna go for a 0-2 Tottenham win, and my betting tip is total over 10.5 corner kicks. South Coast bragging rights are on the line once again on Saturday afternoon, where Premier League whipping boys Southampton will welcome Brighton and Hove Albion to St Mary's. The Saints edged closer to a swift championship return owing to last weekend's 3-1 loss to Bournemouth, while the Seagulls were feeling the love in a 3-0 win over Chelsea on Valentine's Day. As it turned out, slaying relegation rivals Ipswich Town on February 1st did not trigger a sustained revival for Ivan Djuric's Southampton, who are still heading down their one-way street back to the 2nd tier after suffering their 20th top-flight loss of the season. Such a grim statistic does not bode well against a Brighton side who recovered from a losing position to dump Chelsea out of the FA Cup 4th round, before repeating their Blues trick in much more emphatic fashion when Enzo Maresca's side visited again on February 14th. Brighton may be guilty of too many slip-ups against sides whom they would be expected to ease past, but the Seagulls' poor record versus bottom 10 teams should prove meaningless at St Mary's. The visitors have never lost a Premier League game on Southampton's turf and were irresistible when Chelsea came to town, so they should run into few problems dispatching the basement boys with ease. So I'm gonna go for a 0-3 Brighton win, and my betting tip is total over 2.5 goals. Two Premier League teams with aspirations of securing a top 4 finish lock horns at Villa Park on Saturday evening as Aston Villa play host to Chelsea. Unai Emery's side will be seeking revenge against the West Londoners after they suffered a 3-0 defeat in the reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge at the beginning of December. Aston Villa have failed to win any of their last 5 Premier League matches and have frustratingly drawn 4 of those, most recently sharing the spoils with leaders Liverpool on Wednesday night, with Unai Emery admitted afterwards that a point apiece was a fair reflection of the competitive clash. After enjoying an impressive 12-game unbeaten run between November 3rd and December 22nd, Chelsea's form has since taken a nosedive as they have won just 3 of their last 10 matches in all competitions, including 3 defeats in their last 4. Chelsea comfortably swept Aston Villa aside in December, but a closer contest could be in store this time around between 2 top 4 hopefuls who have found it difficult to grind out victories in recent weeks. Villa have preferred playing on home soil this term, and taking into account Chelsea's defensive frailties and recent struggles in the final third, we are backing Emery's side to pick up maximum points on this occasion. So I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Aston Villa win, and my betting tip is both teams to score. Newcastle are going through a tough period as they suffered their 3rd defeat in 4 games after losing 4-0 away to Manchester City in the previous round. The Magpies have picked up 1.88 points per game in the last 8 rounds after winning 5 games in that period. Newcastle have lost their last 2 home games in the EPL. Nottingham Forest also lost their momentum in recent games after going down to Fulham on the road by 2-1 in round 25. That was Forest's 2nd consecutive away loss in the Premier League. Playing on the road, Forest's record stands at 7 wins, 2 draws, and 4 defeats. This game might be a little complicated because it could go either ways and I cannot pick a winner here, so I'm just gonna go for 2-2 draw, and my betting tip is both teams to score. Manchester City have experienced mixed results in recent matches, reflecting inconsistencies in both their attacking efficiency and defensive stability. In their most recent encounter, Manchester City suffered a 3-1 defeat against Real Madrid in the Champions League on February 19th. Kylian Mbappe's hat-trick exposed their pressing vulnerabilities, particularly in dealing with rapid vertical attacks and aerial threats. Ultimately, the result was a 6-3 aggregate exit from the competition. On February 19th, Liverpool played out a 2-2 draw against Aston Villa in a match where their defense was frequently tested by Villa's direct style of play. Despite creating numerous scoring opportunities, a late miss from Darwin Núñez proved costly, underlining issues with finishing in the most critical moments. 4 days earlier, on February 15th, they secured a hard-fought 2-1 victory against Wolverhampton. Goals from Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah demonstrated the team's efficiency in breaking down defenses through high pressing and effective wing play. This game could go either way, but I just don't see Liverpool losing this one. It's either a Liverpool win or draw here. So I'm gonna go for a 2-2 draw, and my betting tip is both teams to score.